all mixed together.
Yo, good day, and welcome to another episode of the Road FS Detail Bookie Podcast. You just heard me and Rod, just always ideas flying.
And I obviously
so you got
wore
the tail end of the conversation.
I wore the wrong hat today because apparently it was Black Hat Day, and instead I wore the shiny chrome dome. So
yeah, well, you know,
I did spike my hair up because of you today, Christy.
It is a little spiked.
Awesome.
You can't see it.
You can't see it like you can if I get a good background in there. There's a little bit.
I can see it. That's funny.
So, good morning and welcome, Christy. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are y'all?
We're doing great. So if you guys don't know Christy, you probably haven't been on the internet in the last 5 years. So
or 5 minutes.
5 minutes, yeah, exactly. So
I think I stay on it.
Yep.
Well, dude, we are super excited to have you. I mean, Rod mentioned your social media, and your social media is nothing but positive messages, motivation, discipline, digging in. Everything you do is just built to uplift, and I love that. So,
well, thank you.
So let's go to people that anybody that doesn't know who you are and what you do.
Okay.
Let's talk about you and where you're at and what you do.
Okay. So obviously, I am Christy Vest. I'm the sole owner, operator of Liquid Art Detailing. It's located in Decatur, Alabama, and I'm actually from Hartselle, Alabama. I've been in business now for about close to 6 years, and I am a lover of many things. So obviously, I love detailing. I am a type 1 diabetic, so I'm very passionate about health and fitness. I'm very much get after it, go get it. Music lover. I play drums. I do a little bit of everything. I'm probably one of those that is a master of nothing because I have so many loves. And you know what? And I'm okay with it.
Yeah. So earlier, and I always ask everybody, if there's anything that's off limits, but one of the things is that Jody and I are both really ADD. So we're all over the place.
Just like you.
So you're a squirrel too. Okay, so squirrels of a feather, we jump limbs together.
Yes,
yeah, but
we do.
You are like a level above. You have so many things going on. I mean, you're a detailer, you're a mom squared, you deal with kid athletics, your athletics, you hang out at the beach. You do now. Do you call it body sculpting, bodybuilding?
It's figure competing or bikini competing. Yeah. I got fitness competitions. I don't know that it has a true name anymore.
Yeah. So you're a detailer, and then do I get this right? You rebuild engines?
So I do. I have a bit of a passion for Hondas. I personally have experienced it, with my S2000. We're continuing to work on it. It's a full-blown built engine. I did not do all of that work, but I do a lot of it. I have a wide range of things I guess I can do, from cooking to I do makeup for people. I do engine builds. I do.
It's awesome.
You name it, I do.
But the thing about that is, the thing that I love about it, and the reason I bring up all the different things is because when you have a brain that doesn't want to stop, or like you said, jump from tree to tree, the thing about that is a lot of people get trapped in not finishing things. But that's what I loved about the Honda build, is watching it go from you posting about here's some engine parts to now it's running again, right? And it's like that kind of transition is really, really, I mean, everybody has a dopamine rush when they finish something. But for those of us that have squirrel cage brain, finishing something is an extreme dopamine rush because it's over the top. We finish something. And I have the same passion with cars and engines and building stuff and finishing things. Not so much the working out, but that's Jody. But I think that's awesome that you're doing this. So 6 years with your own shop.
Yes.
Prior to that, you did some stuff in the detailing industry as well, correct?
Yes, a little bit. Sorry, I'm closing this door so I can hear y'all.
We got a guy here that says, damn, if a customer goes to another for a full engine detail, they will get very disappointed. Exactly.
So I think she's kind of wherever you moved to was a little bit less on your connectivity there. So don't let Rod. He is a peak male of fitness.
That's right. That's right, Kurt. That's right, baby.
Why do you feel that ego, man, dude? That is funny.
Yeah. Well, they were teasing me yesterday.
So actually, since you mentioned fitness, I have a question. You and I had a really interesting conversation at SEMA, and you were getting ready for a fitness show. And
yes,
one of the things that's different with you is you have to really think about every aspect of how the food that goes into your body, cutting the weight is completely different when it comes to being a type 1 diabetic. I mean,
yes.
How does that apply to running your business? Because I'm like, dude, to cut your weight, especially being cognizant of your health at the same time, that's a whole different mindset and different game.
So for me, for anybody that's not a diabetic, it probably seems challenging, and just overwhelming. But from my perspective, it's very easy. And I think the reason for that is, I found out I was a type 1 when I was 17 years old. And of course, I'm now, at 30 years into it. And so when I look at my life, everything that I do comes down to the exact same things. And I just apply them. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I'm training for fitness, if I'm detailing a vehicle, if I'm parenting my children, I run scenarios in my head all day, every day. That's why my brain does not stop. And I have to, because every single thing that I do, whether I'm ingesting water or even just breathing, my sugars are fluctuating, and I have to be in control of that at all times. I am the brain and the function, and I am the computer system of my body. And so when you train yourself to handle every single thing, and you are running scenarios all day, every day about, well, this could happen if I do this. Well, this could happen if I do that. It just automatically applies to every single thing that I do in my detailing business. And because everything in my diabetic world has to have a goal, a starting point, a process, and then an end, it's very easy for me to do that in my business world as well. Does it get overwhelming? Yeah, absolutely. But I think that applies to anybody that's running a business, not necessarily just me. But I just have the structure over the course of 30 years, and I have the discipline to say, I don't get to, this is where I guess I'm a little different. I don't have the luxury of waking up and saying, you know what, I'm not going to take care of my diabetes today. I'm just going to let whatever happen. And because of that, that same mentality applies to all the other things that I get into. So if I'm wanting to learn the drums, which I'm retraining myself on that, if I want to become a better detailer, if I want to zone in on this skill set, I don't have a mindset that says, hey, I get to walk away from this today. And it's okay if I do. That's kind of a good thing and a bad thing, I think, mainly because you don't ever get to give yourself a break. You don't ever really get to allow yourself to have a little bit of grace for the things that you do accomplish. You're just so focused on the next goal, the next starting point, the next process, and the next finish. Like it's just repetitive cycles. And that's how I live my life. And it kind of boggles a lot of people, even people in my circle, my own husband and kids. They're like, Mom, can you ever just stop? And diabetes has trained me to say, no, I don't have the luxury.
Yeah. I've heard that same thing for many years. Can you just stop? And it's not about diabetes, but about just having the ADHD and just wanting to go. And what's the next thing? And the one thing I've had to train myself to do is to stop and reflect on the things that I have accomplished or done. Instead of
Yes.
just making it all about the journey or making it all about the end point, it's the journey on the way there, especially in business. We've had to do that because in business, you could go through a slow time and then all of a sudden when it starts picking up, and if you focus on that slow time and you turn it into a big slump, it can become a detriment to your business where you just have to look at it as an opportunity. And a lot of people, we have a client that they invest the heaviest in a downturn. And it sounds counterintuitive, but it gives them the opportunity when they're less busy to really focus on the business. And so you've been in business 6 years, which is over the average business that lasts. So congratulations. And you actually do, I see some of the stuff you do, and what do you focus primarily on? Like, what is your ideal client level? Because you don't have I have 15 supercars coming in.
Right. No, my market, if I see a high-end, even a luxury car, that's a bit of a rarity for me. I'm very much in a blue-collar market. Most of our town is plant driven. So I get your everyday drivers. And I would say my primary focuses are three things. It's full details primarily. I don't do a lot of partials or anything like that. I do a lot of transformation details, stuff where cars have sat for a long time. And then corrections and coatings. That's really where my niche is because that's what my market tends to lean towards. Now, I offer a lot of additional services, like window tint and film and things of that nature. But those are not my primary focuses, only because I don't have a lot of clients here that even are interested in that. And if they are, it's minimal things like maybe I just want, my 2 front windows tinted. I try to offer complete packages to people. So if somebody has bought a brand new car and they want full protection, maybe they want the windows tinted and they want a impact zone film job like mirrors and stuff like that. I have now learned enough to be able to offer that to those people. It's just not big yet for the market that I'm in.
Yep. Interesting. I want to address this comment by Hydra Detailing. Hyper focus and dedication are good for business, less good for family and friends. So do you find that to be true?
I'm sorry, say that again. I missed part of that.
So his comment was hyper focus and dedication are good for business, less good for family and friends. Do you find that true?
I really don't have, I guess, a set answer for that about it, whether it be true or false, because I try to look at everything situationally. So instead of my market dictating to me what it needs, I kind of focus on determining what my business is best suited to handle. And I work best with the clients that need that. So I am not presenting my business to be like, hey, everybody call me, because my focus is this and this and this and this. My focus tends to be more, and it doesn't matter if it's friends and family or if it's somebody, 3 markets away from me. This is what my business is best at. This is what I can deliver on exceptionally well. And if it meets your needs, then this is why you need to come to me, because the value that I give you are these things. And then I let them decide. And I think that keeps me from a couple of things. Building an overly large business that I can't handle, and getting into things that maybe people want me to focus on that I don't feel comfortable focusing on. So like window tint. That is not my focus. I am not a tint shop. I have no desire to be a tint shop, and I do not market myself to be a tint shop. I market myself to be a package, value-driven company. So if you've bought that new car and you want a one-stop shop, then this is where I focus. And I don't try to present myself to be better at one thing than the other. Like, am I the best detailer, but I'm a really good paint corrector and I'm a phenomenal coating specialist? No, I create the same value for everything that I offer, so one does not override the other. And I think that helps me keep consistent business. I don't get bombarded with people going, oh, I need details. And I get packed with, 10 or 15 of them. And then all of a sudden I get a one-off coding because they heard I was great at it. I want people to see equal value in everything that I do and say, that's the company that I want to go with, because even if I'm going in for a coding, I got another car sitting in the garage that I also need detailed. So that's kind of how I handle those situations. I don't really try to hyper focus on anything specific.
Yeah, I love that. I love that comment, and I love your response, right? Because what you focus on gets your attention and what thrives. And I think underlying his question is he's asking, how do I balance between my building my business and building my family? And what I've done, and what Rod's done very intentionally, and his wife kind of forced him to do it, is, dude, when I'm at work, I'm all in. I'm present. I'm digging in. I'm hyper focused. But when I'm with my kids or when I'm with my wife, I'm hyper focused on them. And I give them all of me, not just part of me. And yes, there are those occasions where the phone rings and somebody needs my attention. That's just part of being an entrepreneur. But I think a lot of times people struggle so much with building their business that they neglect other aspects of their life and they don't focus on those. And then all of a sudden they wake up one day and they're like, well, I have a great business, but I'm all alone.
Yeah.
I think that's natural for most people, especially when you're starting a business, because it's exciting. It's new. You're proud of something that you never really thought you could do or achieve. And then you start seeing it evolve and you become consumed with that happiness that it's giving you. For me, and maybe it's because of the way that my life has always been structured. So, and of course, I do think it's different for men and women, being a mom. So not saying that dads don't or can't be involved in their families. They absolutely are, to a very high degree. I do think the perception about the role that they play can play a little bit of a factor in that. So from my point of view, when I start my business, my goal was to be successful. That did not mean it came at the expense of my family. That was my number one priority. How do I be successful? How do I start a business? How do I grow it and maintain it and become proud of it while not leaving my family feeling as if they're playing second to something that they see mom is very happy with? And so in order for me to balance that, it's kind of this, there again, I approach it like I approach diabetes. So if I want to drink this Mountain Dew, obviously that is bad for my sugar. I know it is. I know it's going to hurt me. I know it's going to affect me in ways that it's not supposed to. So in order for me to have it, I have to incorporate it the right way. I have to know when to do it. I have to know when not to. I have to look at my sugars. I have to make sure I dial in my numbers correctly. And then I can enjoy that Mountain Dew with no problem. And I treat my business the same way. It is kind of my Mountain Dew. So my family is my body. That is my number one thing, always. It doesn't matter, because if I have to turn down a coding for the sake of my family, I have full faith that, God has instilled in me that something else is going to come around. So I trust in that process. My family comes first. I don't neglect their needs. Do I prioritize them a little bit? Sure. I think that's natural, because you don't want to leave your business astray. But at the same time, I look at it and I say, okay, my family needs me. I am a mom first and foremost. That was created before this business ever existed. My goal is to build the business so I can maintain and sustain a lifestyle that my family and I can enjoy, but I won't succumb to choosing it over and above my family. My family will always come first, and the business will still be here. I don't ever really fully believe that your business is going to be left hanging or go south if you don't choose your family. It's just making sure you choose when and when not to put the business first.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that's,
Drop the mic.
That is exactly what people have to do. And I think that's a healthy way to explain balance. And that it's
easy to get consumed in success because it makes us feel good. We're proud of it. We're thriving under the fact that we have created something that a lot of people look at us and think, well, you'll never be successful at that. And when we see those things happening, I think it's natural for us to just gravitate to what we know we've built and we became really good at. And we did it alone more often than not. You know, your family might be a little different because that dynamic a lot of times includes a husband and a wife. And so you kind of know you've got a partner in that, where a lot of us building businesses may not always have that dynamic. And you just, your perspective changes a little bit based off your own situation, and everybody's is going to be different.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons, honestly, that Jody and I, and we have two other partners, but that's why we've been so successful, because we lean on each other like you would in that type of relationship. So Jody and I have known each other for like 35 years. And so he knows when I'm out of town or something, he's got it. And he'll still tell me after 35 years, hey, I got you. I got this. Don't worry about it. Go enjoy your time off. And the same thing, Jody was in Italy and Greece last week, and he knows we've got it, right? So I think that is a big deal with a business, is having partners that you can work with. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're in your business. You could have a partner that does tents right there in Alabama, and you'd know, hey, Bob's got me or Sue's got me. When I'm gone, hey, I'm going to send this client over to you. They just want the front windows of their Jeep to match the back windows, and you know they've got you. So I think partnerships, whether that's in business and in family, you have to know that they've got your back. And that is that's part of the hardest part, is getting good partners. A lot of people end up getting into the wrong partnerships, but when you do get into the right partnerships, just like your family, you have to value that, and you have to nurture it, and you have to be an equal partner in that.
And it can give you so much freedom. It can give you so much freedom. And I want to answer this question. Hydro Detail and Dave asked, how do you shift hyper-focusing on business to family to let loose? So this is what I do. So this is Jody's, right? Judy and I have been married 37 years. I can count on both hands in 37 years the number of times we have not, emphasize that, not had a date night. Every week, Judy and I have a date night. And there were seasons in our life where we had to get very creative in creating that time for each other. And I just think it's important. And we always had a family night. So Monday night, we had family night. We went snow skiing or made ice cream and played games, whatever. And it's just setting aside key time for your family, your loved one, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your wife, whatever, and being 100% focused in that moment. And Judy and I always set time to do a little escape, like we went to Italy and Greece. And dude, when we had no money, we just got creative. I mean, some nights it was Netflix, chocolate chip cookies, and ice cream, right? It was raiding the quarter jar to go scramble for a little treat, right? And it's being intentional and purposeful with those times.
Right. And I think the thing is, go for it.
I think you can get really creative even within your own business.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Just to kind of coincide with what you said, when you have no money, and let's face it, a lot of detailers starting off, that's a very consistent dynamic because it's hard.
Right.
So how do you do that when you feel like, well, if I don't do this detail, or if it's pushing me late, you find ways to think, I got to do this because I need the income, but I want to be there for my family and I don't want to miss date night. And I have been in those situations, and my husband has an extremely good job. So a lot of our income, is on him. However, that doesn't take away and it doesn't excuse the ability to spend time with your family. So I have done dynamics where I have gone to, and I still have it. I think I can kind of show you the wall. So that wall back there in front of my S2000, it's probably about 20-foot wide wall. I went to Lowe's and I literally bought a white canvas tarp. Probably cost me, $40. I got on Amazon and I bought just a cheap projector. And I bring my kids up here and I'm like, hey, I really have to get this coating done, unfortunately. However, we'll do movie night right here in the shop. And I'm still fully engaged with them right in the face of my business at the time I need it most. And I'm, I'm in right there with them. And they loved it because I got to spend time with them, but they also got to see what's going on in my world, which is something they want to know. Right. And before you know it, it's a dynamic. It may not have to be for forever, but it's what gets you through until the dynamic can change and you can evolve it and grow into a true date night that doesn't have to incorporate your business. So lots of ways to do it.
Yep. Yeah. And I know, I mean, just looking at the pictures and the posts you have, when you're outside of the business, you're outside of the business. You are either on the beach with your kids, or you're volleyballing it, or you're out eating dinner. And by the way, side note, have you noticed that most of us have one kid that looks like us? You have two that are like literally
mirror images.
There's certain points in times people will be like, oh, that's your daughter? No, those are your daughters. Yes. They're just like spitting images. So I think that is also a dynamic that most people, when you see people, and a lot of times social media, we all know a lot of stuff's fake, but you can tell when people are in family pictures, when they're happy and they're having a good time. And I think that is the balance, is those are the times that you really focus in on the family. We just came off of a holiday weekend and I spent 5 days with my wife alone with none of our kids or dogs or anything. And I probably looked at my phone twice. The whole time, which is very rare for business owners, but I know that we have a good team and I know that we're going to take care of it. In fact, my kids were texting me because of, oh, when are you guys coming home? And I just was like, I'm not even answering. So
when
I get there. Yeah. So I think that is it. It seems like a hard thing to do if you're in one or the other of those camps. If you're focusing too much on one thing, it's hard to say, how can I focus? But really, as Jody mentioned, years and years ago, when we first started the business, my wife, I got home, it was probably 7:00 at night, and I was on my phone doing some work stuff. And my wife just came over and took my phone out of my hands and just went and set it on the counter. And she said, after 5, you're mine. So it really was really a small thing, but it was very impactful to me to realize I'm focusing more on the business than I am the family. And it actually helped our business. When you stop being available 24 hours a day, then you realize that is the norm and the expectation you have set with your clients. And so you can do those things, and it's not going to cost you. If not answering the phone at 9:00 at night is one less coding, then you probably were better off without that coding.
Well, and I also think, and maybe this is just me, this might sound a little cocky, I guess, probably arrogant. I don't know what you would think it would be, but I think the number one reason why we hyper-focus is because we are more afraid of failing than we are succeeding, because we've invested everything that we have into something that we're very passionate about. And for many, that may be the only thing that they have that they feel very comfortable and confident that they're great at. And when you become hyper-focused on not failing, you're not really focusing on anything else but eliminating that fear. The further away you can get from failing, the more comfortable you become. And for some people, once you get to a point where you're really not going to fail, you're so structured and disciplined in focusing on the business, you don't know how to redirect your focus. In my mind, I am not afraid of failing. If this business shut down tomorrow, I'll be honest, I could care less. I'm confident enough that there's something else I can go be great at. Not just detailing, not just being a mom, not just this, not just working out. I'm very comfortable and confident that I've done the best that I can do. And I give 100% every day. But if it's not meant to be and it's not going to work, then that's okay too. I will go find something else that will work. And I'm not going to neglect my family or the things that I love. I'm a kid at heart through and through. I'm like the biggest 5-year-old you'll ever meet. I'm that one that when I went to the expo down in Orlando, I'm sitting in class and I'm like, okay, these classes are great. I have no problem with the classes. But I'm like, I know a lot of these things. I don't know everything. But I feel confident enough that I know enough that, you know what? I'm going to go to Disney. So I got up and I went to Disney. I took a little bit of a break from me because it was like, this is my chance. I work hard. I'm here all year. I focus on business. I focus on family. Yes, I focus on me, but this is just something that today I feel like I need to do. And I'm not afraid of failing by not going to class or not doing this or not doing that. So I went to Disney. I had a good time. I came back to the expo the next day, and it was the best trip that I've ever had. And I learned the most because I could absorb more by taking some time for myself and just focusing on something that doesn't have to relate so much to being successful, but it also doesn't have to keep me focused on the fear of failing.
Right. And I think that's a really good point. Jody and I, years and years ago, we had an opportunity, a gentleman we were working with to try to be a partner of ours. He was part of a big franchise. He said, hey, if you guys come to our franchise meeting, you can talk to all the franchisees. Great opportunity. Oh, we're there. Where are we going to be? Where do we need to be? And he's like, you need to be in the Bahamas. And Jody and I, literally, the focus went from there's an opportunity for business to, wow, we got to go to the Bahamas. So we took our wives. We showed up.
You took your wife.
I took my wife. I showed up.
Diving.
I'm like, you know what? I need to be there a week early because I need to. So we went and we had 2 1-hour meetings, I think.
Yeah.
And it was literally like you're saying, as kids, we're under the table, our feet are shifting. We're like, come on, get this meeting over, get this meeting over. And as soon as it was over, we were just like, whoop, we were out there. We had a blast. And the ironic part about it is we signed the deal. But we were both, I know I was more excited about being in the Bahamas.
Because you and your wife had a great week.
And then we were with the business.
Yeah.
And so it was really a good, I agree with you. You've got to take the time for yourself. And I think that's one of the things that Jody and I travel a lot, go to a lot of these trainings and everything. And you know, people say, oh, and then you go out with the people afterwards. And it's like, well, yeah, you need to have that social time as well. You need to have the time to get to know somebody on more of a level than just, oh, this is, let's name drop, right? This is Jason Rose. He's a great detailer. I've learned more about Jason after an event and hanging out with him than I ever did as Jason Rose, the detailer. And he's a great guy. He's funny. He's sarcastic. He's got a really dry sense of humor. And I think that that's helped enhance our partnership and our relationship because of that, not in spite of it, but because we got to know each other. Same thing with all the guys from the Detailers of the Round Table and some of our clients. It's just, that is the human aspect of it. And I think a lot of times people put on this veil of I'm a business and I'm Joe professional and I have to be, you've got to be human. I can't be fake. It doesn't work for me. I have to be myself. Sometimes that comes off as an asshole. And sometimes it doesn't. And, you just do it. It's, sometimes people are like, man, that was a really harsh comment. And I'm like, that was a truthful comment. That wasn't harsh. It's just truthful. It's just how it is. And so I think that you can do it in a compassionate way, but you have to be honest. And a lot of times people are scared for this statement, but this statement is really powerful, is this may not be the right relationship. We may not be the right business for you, but I know somebody that does do that. That will help you so much. I've tried to fire 3 or 4 clients and they've been with us for 15 years because we were having a conflict and I said that to them. I said, you know what, this might not work out because it seems like we're in a conflict here and we might not be the right company for you. That guy, I probably
like, whoa, wait a second.
It's just the way people are. So you've got to be true to yourself and true to your business and not put a dollar ahead of your integrity and or your ability to move forward, right? You don't want that $1 to be the one that puts you out of business, which sounds weird, but it happens. You mentioned something earlier that I think is really important. You said you don't want to grow the business to a size you can't handle. That is the number one reason businesses in the United States fail. A couple of years ago, the statistic was growing too fast, which sounds so counter to what people think. They're like, oh, I've got to get this next shop and this next 15 employees. And the reality is your profit margin might go down. You might have less money with that second shop and that 15th employee than you do with a core group of individuals that know what they're doing and all have the same focus.
Yep. And I see that. So when I started coming into this industry, I had already worked, corporate jobs and I had managed at some higher level. So I had a pretty good understanding of what it would take. Now, granted, when you step into the world of something that's luxury and niche, obviously that comes with its own set of challenges. And so when I started doing it, and even to this point, I have a lot of ups and downs. I'd be lying if I said that I didn't. And a lot of it's just specifically because of how I market or don't market the business. What kind of flow I want sometimes is not in line with what the market is able to deliver on. And it's taken a lot of time to understand, the timing of things, what needs to be put out there at that time. But the one thing I guess that I've never really done is fallen into the trap of, and I know we all see it on social media, and I'm not knocking the companies that do it, because everybody's dynamic is different as far as what they want for their businesses. Some people want those really big businesses where they've got 10 or 15 detailers and they've got 20 cars pumping out in 2 or 3 days, and that comes with a lot of stress. And in my opinion, being diabetic and understanding what stress does to your body, that it was just not something that I ever wanted to get into. And so I took a very slow approach. I don't buy into the marketing concepts of, we can get you 15, 20 leads a day. And then people just think that that's automatically going to get them to this unrealistic high level of income that may not happen, because you don't have the ability or the capacity or even the capability to not only handle it, but you can't manage it. And then now you've taken on something that not only is not good for you, it's also not good for your business, because now your reputation's going down. Now everything about your business is struggling, and you really don't know what to do to get ahead of the curve. So my point was to just grow it slow, grow it in the capacity that I wanted and could handle, while I could still be the mom and be the person that I wanted to be, that I see a lot of people give up along the way. They give up their ability to have fun. They give up their ability to get off that conference at the Bahamas and say, hey, let's go do this, because they're just so worried about, well, now I've got, 20 more detailers back home and I've got to call them and I got to do, they don't know how to relax. And I'm over here going, what for? You came into this world with nothing. And guess what? You're going to leave that way. That's just the reality of it. And so you better wrap your head around that you've got a whole other thing of, or not so a whole other thing. You have a whole nother world that loves you. It's called a family. Mm-hmm. It's called friends. It's called partners. Those people are bought into you as a person. And to me, that is my biggest priority. I'm not going to leave those people astray for anything, especially not $1. And that comes at a price. It comes at a price. I'm never going to be that $1 million business. And I am perfectly okay with that. I want a good life. I don't want the biggest life. And that's what every detailer, in my opinion, needs to have a conversation with themselves first. What do you want? And what can you handle? And don't take on any more than that, or you're going to find yourself miserable.
Yeah. And I think I really, really like that, because Jody and I are part of something the IDA just started advertising, which is a mentorship program for people that are just coming up in the detailing industry. And we're talking about all those business things, everything about businesses, from financing to accounting to tracking your numbers to scheduling, everything. It's just the whole gamut. And I think that is a big disservice in every industry. It's not just the detailing industry, but in business, when you're watching people that tell you how much money you should be making. That is such a disservice, because they don't know your market. They don't know your goals. They don't know your skill set or anything. For somebody to come and tell me, as let's say I'm an independent detailer in Boise, Idaho, to tell me you should be making X amount of dollars. And I have heard trainers tell people that if you're not making 6 figures, you're not doing it right. I'm like, what if you're in BF, Alaska, and the average income is $40,000 a year? You're not going to double, almost triple the average income as a detailer. No. You're just not. No. And it's doing a disservice, because it puts in their head that you're doing something wrong. You might not be doing something wrong. In Boise, Idaho, if you're making $100K, you are exceeding the average income of
median
Boise,
income by a
Idaho
lot.
by 100%. The average
By
income is like
100%.
$53,000. So if you're making $100K as a detailer, you're killing it.
And it creates, in my opinion, an unnecessary and unrealistic comparison amongst each other. And then you see us questioning ourselves, thinking, are we too low? Are we too high? What am I doing wrong? Like, now you went from this comfortable and somewhat confident business owner to somebody who's now very questioned about what it is that you're doing, thinking you're doing it wrong when really you're not doing anything wrong. You are meeting what your market is giving you in terms of capacity. And if you're okay with that and your family is not suffering, you're not suffering, your business isn't suffering. Yeah, so what? You're not growing, an extra 20 cars a month. But if you're not going backwards, what does it matter?
Right.
What does it really matter? I mean, unless it's just something that you want, and now you're trying to get to that next level. If you're only doing it because the industry that you're in is pushing you to get to a point that you can't get to, because it's not sustainable maybe in your market, then I think it just creates an unnecessary and unrealistic expectation. And then we start getting down on ourselves. And then before you know it, that's when we're going to start going backwards, because we can't focus on the business, because there again, we become fearful of failing. And so that's what starts, you start hyper focusing on everything. And before you know it, it's like what they used to call in the restaurant industry. Now you're in quicksand. You can't get out of it.
Yeah, and that I think that is one of the biggest problems. I see these posts all the time. People say, "What's the biggest problem in detailing today?" And people say, "Oh, the infighting or this and that." I think it's the unrealistic expectations of somebody starting out, because they watch these so-called experts that tell them they should be making X amount of dollars and doing all this stuff, and they kill themselves to get there. They're like, okay, so I bought the transit van and I have it fully wrapped and I've done all the stuff and I've got the shop, but I'm only bringing in about 2 cars a week. What am I going to do? And you're like, okay, you went around it the wrong way. You started out doing stuff that somebody that makes that income does, right? It's like if I want a Ferrari, if my big goal, Jody's had, if my big goal is to have a Ferrari, and the first thing I do is I go and look for a Ferrari before I figure out how I'm going to get the money to pay for it, you're going the wrong direction.
Right.
You've got to start by assessing yourself, where you're at, your market, and what you want out of it.
And social media, in my opinion, when people ask that question, I'm like, y'all, I see it a lot. What's the biggest hurdle that you have in social media? Yeah. And the first thing I want to say is all of the forums, all of y'all are the biggest hurdle in detailing, because it worked differently for every single one of us. And now we're throwing out all these things, and the person that's asking the question still doesn't know which way to go, because they don't know the basics of what it is that they need to do to accomplish maybe the one goal that they've got. They don't even know what their market needs. They don't know what their market can sustain. They don't even know what they're good at yet. So figure out that stuff first, and then kind of go from there. Now you can dive into everybody else's business and kind of push and pull things around that. You can pull different things from each thing and say, all right, I can compile all this and make one good plan for myself. Yeah. But if you don't know for your own self what you have to have in order to feel successful and be successful, you're just going to wander around, aimlessly thinking, well, I'm not doing this, so now I'm going to try this. Well, that's not working. So now you're lost. You never built a foundation to begin with, and then you're going to struggle from the get-go because of it.
Yep.
And social media, I think, is the biggest turnoff when it comes to that. Find somebody to kind of mentor behind. And it doesn't have to be in detailing. It can just be somebody who is successful. It can be 4 or 5 people. Maybe one's really good at being financially successful. One is really good at being family successful. One is really good at being faith successful. You can find all these things and utilize your resources and come up with what you're most comfortable with, and just stick to it. Everything happens with time, not because you just, made it happen overnight. Some people get lucky, but that's not the reality for most of us.
Nope. And Nathan, I want to comment on Nathan's comment. That's why I keep it basic in trainings. And I'll tell you, knowing Nathan Warren for a number of years, through his whole evolution as a business owner, I have never, ever heard Nathan tell somebody else what their business should be doing. He will train you, and that is what you want. You want somebody you can mentor and somebody that will train you and show you what you want to know. If I came to your shop and I said, Christy, I want to know how to do window tint, and you showed me and you saw that I was horrible at it, like horrible, you'd be like, well, you really need to work on this and this and this. But you're not going to tell me what you need to be doing is making $80,000 a year off window tint. It's the skill you're looking for. It's the window tinting you're looking for. It's the next thing. It's not how your business should be running. At one time, Jody and I, we had 24 employees, and it was an absolute nightmare. I could barely get up and go to the restroom because there was so much HR stuff going on. Dude, you need to zip your pants up. You got to come to work. The other employees are complaining because you smell bad.
Caught on fire 3 times.
The kitchen caught on fire. And now we are literally half that size now. I try to give courage and confidence, and it's a good area to cover it all. Yeah. And now we're half that size, and we are so much more comfortable, and our margin is so much better. And here's the key to it. Our revenue did not go down.
No, it actually went up.
Our revenue went up.
It actually went up.
So you got to think about those things. Is if somebody else is telling you what you should be doing, is again, assess your goals and what you want out of the whole thing.
Well, and I think one of the challenges that I see is that there's this expectation of what success looks like.
Yes.
And clearly, Christy, you have built your business around your family, about your lifestyle, about all those things, right? And when you step away from other people's expectations and you recognize that the only true competition you have is yourself, the person in the mirror in your business, and you just start focusing on you, all of a sudden you can make the choices to give you the lifestyle, the business, the freedom that you want to accomplish all of those things that are important to you without sacrificing them.
Absolutely. I mean, if anybody looks at my social media, I think I've been to the beach, maybe 4 or 5 times this year, and we're not even into June yet. Now, granted, some of them are quick getaways and stuff like that. But that is not something that you see consistently amongst detailers. When I look at a lot of detailers' page, very rarely do I ever see that they are enjoying themselves outside of their businesses. Everything is so focused on, look at what I'm doing, look at what car that I've got, look at my numbers. They view, and if that's what they want, that's fine. But I have a lot of people, and I'm sure y'all see it, that follow what I do. They love the fact that I'm involved in so many different aspects. And here's the reality of my world. When you look at my business's average income, I'll be straight up. If I make $100,000 a year, that's on a good year. And I don't care because I have my numbers dialed in to where I maintain my business just fine. I have very low overhead. I buy strategically, so I keep my costs down drastically. None of my customers suffer because I can get them in because I'm not overbooked. I'm not overwhelmed. I can deliver on really high expectations. And my business has grown very slowly because of that. I don't see 30 cars a month. I probably see maybe 10 on average. But I get to go to the gym and keep myself healthy. And I love the way that I get to go shopping when I want to. I get to spend time with my kids. I get to travel and watch them play soccer. I get to go to the beach. I get to do all the other things that I want to do that normally people are chasing really high incomes to do once a year. And I do these things 4 or 5 times a year. And I'm like y'all, my profit margins are good. I do have slow times where I panic. And that's simply because that was my wrongdoing. It wasn't necessarily because, the business is just failing. I just didn't get ahead of the curve. I've learned from those mistakes. I know how to do it now. And I'm okay with it. My business will probably grow to be a lot more successful, but yeah, it's going to take 3 or 4 or 5 more years. But I'm 46. I'm in no rush, and I'll take that. My dynamic is different, though. I have a spouse. He has a good income, and I know a lot of people don't have that. So for the ones out there that might be like, well, this is all on me, they're going to look at that differently. And I respect it. I understand it. But I will also be the first one to tell them, if you're not careful and it's all on you and you get to the top, you're going to look back and you're going to think, but what did I really get out of it? Because you would have lost everything else along the way and you're just not seeing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the key to that is, so Jody, you'll see on his social media, 90% of his personal social media is him having fun with his family out on the boat or in Greece or doing all kinds of stuff. I don't post a lot of my personal life because I'm one of those that I want to be there. So for instance, I've got 3 kids and one of them was like one of your daughters, soccer for 10 years, club soccer, traveling every weekend. I didn't post that stuff because I'm in the moment. I don't even like to take pictures of it. My wife's taking pictures of it all the time. I want to watch it. I want to be there. I want to experience that. And that's what happens with Jody and I. We'll go to an event. Jody's taking pictures all over the place. Says, did you get any pictures of that training? And I'm like, no, I was involved. I was up to my arms in compound and, doing things. And so I have to consciously tell myself I need to get some pictures of this event because we're going to want to post it somewhere. So I think that that is one of those things that it's a lot of self-assessment, right? So in business, we always talk about, well, what can we do? What's the accounting? What's this? A lot of it's self-assessment. What do I want? What do I get out of this? My wife's been very successful. She's in the corporate world as well. And she has always had this saying to everyone, no matter whether it was bosses or employees that she's had. She said, look, tomorrow we could all be digging ditches together. We're still going to be the same people. We're going to be in different roles. And I need the people to respect me no matter what. And that's the way I look at it too. Titles, sometimes they mean something, right? I have a title at this job and sometimes I need to use it because somebody owes me money from 7 months ago. And so the CFO side comes out. But most of the time, I'm just Rod, the idiot, right? The 5-year-old little guy that, says stupid, dirty jokes. But I think that is the thing is, what do you want out of it? And if you can get out of it what you want, that's the hardest part is figuring out what you want. Don't listen to other people.
Because we want it all.
Yeah, because everybody thinks
we want the success. We want the family. We want the vacations. We want the nice cars. We've gotten into a society because social media presents most people to be what they aren't. I guess that's why I'm so transparent on my social media. Like, what you see is exactly what I am. I'm a winner. I'm a failure. I'm a competitor. I'm lazy. I'm all of the above. And if you're looking at everybody else's dynamic and you find that you're going to compare you to them, you're already losing because you're never going to be them. You can never be them because you aren't them. You're you. Right. So find out for you what you want and be realistic about it. We can dream till the cows come home, but you kind of have to step into reality and say, all right, this dream is a goal. It's a long term. This is what I want right now. That's achievable and sustainable, and that will make me happy.
Yes. Yeah, and I think one of the important things is to recognize that you can either compare and despair, or you can compare and be inspired.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
And, dude, I mean, it's like I watch all of your fitness stuff. I mean, Rod, Judy and I work out every day, but I watch your stuff and I'm like, I'm inspired. I watch your business. I watch you taking trips on the beach and I'm inspired, right? I don't get down on myself. And I think a lot of detailers, a lot of business owners, they get down on themselves because they're comparing your life. They're comparing your chapter 6 to their chapter 1, or mine and Rod's chapter 17 to somebody else's chapter 3, right? Yeah. And it's like recognizing that there is a journey in building your business. There's a journey in building your life. And man, if you can just focus on trying to build success around the core values that are important to you, man, the journey becomes so much more rich. It becomes so much more joyful. And you're not sitting there grumbling, how come I'm not here already? It's
and I think that a lot of times
we're very competitive. We're very competitive as an industry. And don't get me wrong, athlete my whole life, still am today. Being competitive is great, but it's also very tasking on you mentally, because that would be like me trying to start a podcast company right now and looking at the fact that y'all have been doing this for quite some time. You know, every in and out, you have resources, you have a dynamic that works, that the industry loves. And here I would be coming in going, well, I want to get to that right now. And you can't do that. That's very unrealistic from my perspective, to think that I can duplicate what y'all have built over time. And we just have this perception as detailers. And I think a lot of it comes down, that's why we're detailers. We can immediately take a car that looks bad, and within a day, we can make it look phenomenal. And I think we try to apply that mentality to everything that we do. And we don't stop and think, man, that took them 15, 20 years. You can't duplicate that. And so now you just get down on yourself, because there again, you're thinking, well, if they did it, so can I. And I can do it better. And I can do this and I can do that. When the reality of it is that wasn't really something that you loved to begin with. You just thought that you could get better at it and you could gain from it in some way, without really taking a step back and looking at, did you even belong in that side of the world anyway? Probably not.
Oh yeah.
I love that.
And here's one that this really pisses off some people. I've said this to even some of the guys in our company, it pisses them off. But anybody that sees this podcast, I would venture to say that none of you are going to be multimillionaires. And that may piss you off, because I think a lot of people think, they go, I'm going to start a business, I'm going to work really hard, then the magic happens and I'm going to get $20 million. You're not. Yep. You're not going to get $20 million. The majority of people in the entire world won't get that much. Here's another one that'll piss you off. I am very, very, very blessed. I'm super lucky. I have driven and played with most of the cars people want. Okay, I've driven Ferraris on an autocross course. And here's one that'll piss you off if you're a Ferrari lover. I would rather have a Corvette than a Ferrari. I can buy three or four Corvettes than a Ferrari. I drove a Ferrari F430 on an autocross course, and the guy that was sitting next to me is a professional driver. He has a Corvette. And the Ferrari was phenomenal. It was fun to drive. It was an exhilarating thing. All the cars I've driven have been fun. But the Ferrari wasn't as fun as a Corvette. A Corvette will throw you in the back of the seat, and the Ferrari, the back seat is an engine. It's behind your head, and it's hotter than hell. So there's so many things that people think they want that I know I'm super lucky, again, that I've got an opportunity to do some of those things, but it's not the be-all, end-all. And I think that people need to realize that we've gotten to detail some unbelievable things that people will never get their hands on. Some of the funnest stuff was not the Ferrari or the Lambo. I get sick of looking at those because they're all the same. A helicopter. We got to detail a freaking helicopter. It was unreal fun. I got to detail Steve McQueen's personal Jaguar. Huge highlight of my life to get to do that. It was crap. The paint was crap. The car's old, but it was super awesome. And I think people need to look at it. And I've said this a million times. People that are fans of the podcast are going to go, God, he's going to say it again. If you're going to be the mom minivan detailer, or be the best mom minivan detailer you can do. When I was a mechanic years ago, it was the brakes on a Honda. I could make more money on the brakes on a Honda than I ever could working on a Ferrari. Because on the Ferrari, there's so many expectations. Man, on the brakes on a Honda, it's like, hey, the Accord's out of brake. Slap the brakes on in an hour and a half, and you are making 50% margin on that. So
your return is much higher.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so look at those things, realize, and I know you're a Detail Bookie user, and a lot of people don't look at those packages and look at the reports. No matter what you're using, and of course, we'd love you to use RoadFS or Detail Bookie, but look at what you're making your margin on. If you are just covering your cost on window tint, or if you're losing money on PPF because you've been trying it for 2 years and it's not working,
you're throwing away
doing that and focus on what is making you money that gives you freedom.
Right.
A business to me is freedom, right? We can get done with this podcast. I can go into the little boys' room in here and look in the mirror at the boss and say, hey, can I go home today? And he'll say, yes. So that's the key, is let your business be the freedom that allows you to have the life you want, not a chain around your neck.
No. And I think, so for anybody that would be listening to this or hears this, most of us want to get to these higher levels. We want to get away from detailing and we want to get into coatings. Then we want to go from coatings and we want to get into tint. Then we want to go from tint and we want to get into film. Like, we want to reach these high levels. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think you said something really important. When you start looking at your costs and you realize you're barely covering them or you're not covering them at all. I think what a lot of detailers do wrong, just from my perspective, is we keep trying to dive into things at full capacity. So we know going into it, the learning curves of some of these things are pretty steep. Mm-hmm. And so we think, all right, I'm about to invest $20,000 into my business to learn window tint, and it's about to cost me $50,000 or $75,000 to learn film over the course of, let's say, a year for tint, 2 years for film, just to be decent at it. And we push for that. And that's really risky for some of us because our markets are already, questionable about even being able to sustain any of those add-on services that you're trying to bring in. So it's a bit risky. And I knew that going into it with my market. So when I brought in window tint, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this on a as I can basis. I'm not going to force this and go into debt or create an unnecessary risk just to turn around and try to get an instant return on my investment, maybe a little bit faster. Because now I'm trying to balance between still having the life that I want, keeping the business successful, learning something that's got a substantial learning curve for some people, while not breaking the bank of my business. Yep. So for me, window tint has been kind of a 3-year learning curve. And I still don't consider myself like phenomenal at it. I can do it. I can do it well. I replace what is necessary when I run out of supply, but I'm not going to turn around and say, all right, I did 4 or 5 window tint jobs. Now I'm going to go stack up, 6 months worth of window tint. Right. I just don't do that. And it's simply because I would rather not invest that way. I'd rather step back, look at my business, maybe go another route, because there again, coatings and things like that are still my niche. Mm-hmm. And if something comes around where it's just a one-off big job, like I think I had a Corvette come through in January and it was a full wrap. So, it was like a $10,000 job. It was a very unusual situation. At that point, I could look at that and say, okay, now I really have the income to say, now I'm going to stock up a little bit on these things and I'm going to be prepared and I'm going to market for that because I do want a return on that investment versus just jumping in there.
Yeah.
And getting credit cards and doing all of this stuff to say, okay, I did the training, I got the plotter, I got 6 months worth of tint. Now I can practice. Now I can screw up. Now I can get back down to no tint. I still don't have any income. And now how am I going to replenish that? Yeah, that becomes an overwhelming situation that people just don't really look at. And I think for some, it's the wrong way to go. Maybe not for everybody, but for some.
Yeah, and I heard a really good advice on PPF because it's really the same way. It's super expensive to get into and you're going to mess up a lot. And what I heard a guy say was, he's like, start by doing door cups, headlights, and a few things like that and offer those services because the investment of a screw up on a door cup is a lot less than a full PPF on and I'll tell you what, I watched a guy pull the PPF off of a Porsche GT3 and rip about 6 inches of paint off of it. And you want to talk about an investment. You just painted a Ferrari GT or a Porsche GT3, and that's a lot of money. So
that's good.
Go into these things with a clear head and not an expectation of happening overnight. And you know what? This is crazy. This is one of our longest podcasts, but the most interesting. We could probably keep talking to you for hours because it's just phenomenal. And I think I first off, I want to congratulate you just on your life because you do so many things and you seem to do them very well. And it's just your attitude. Every time we've seen you or met you, or, you know, you've always got a great attitude about stuff. So we really appreciate that. Everybody, if you're not following Christy, go out and do it. liquidartdetailing.com. We got her phone number down below. And if you're in the shows, she's easy to pick out.
She's always easy to pick out.
Got awesome hair. Looks just like mine.
Awesome hair and guns, baby. She's like,
it's like, actually, I've noticed it's the opposite. I'm like the negative of your film because I've got hair on the sides and none on the top. So if I flip that around, it's
that's funny, man.
Anyway,
thank you so much for being our guest.
We'll have matching hair day one day.
That's right. Right. We'll go for it.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been such a fun conversation, and definitely
thank y'all.
Expecting. That was super fun. So.
Yep. So tune in, subscribe, like, share, and all that good stuff, so we can keep doing this for another 850 years. And
we're almost at 600 episodes. I think this is 596.
Yep.
So
we will be there in the next couple of weeks. We'll be at 600 episodes. So, man, I don't know what we're gonna do for 600.
Oh, nice.
We got to do something for 600.
We're gonna have to do something for 600. So, anyway, thank you so much, Christy. Hope you have a fantastic.
I appreciate it, y'all. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Talk to you
And
later,
you guys, thank you for listening. We'll check you next week. See ya. That was so fun.